So we were talking earlier in the show about the news out of Cleveland. Deshaun Watson is done for the year. You know, there was a real push on social media to let everybody know. Definitely wanted to keep playing, definitely wanted to keep trying, all that stuff, even though it is a legitimate injury and probably not necessary. But they felt the need to go ahead and continue to push that out there to let everybody know that he wants to play, he was hoping to play, and unfortunately he got the right medical advice this time, and he is going to be done for the year. So then they make the decision afterwards. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to be the starting quarterback for this week against Pittsburgh. He was called into duty pretty late notice when Deshaun Watson determined he couldn't go the first time around against Baltimore when they played him. And so DTR is going to get the opportunity this week. And then you've got PJ Walker, who has struggled, who is going to be the backup. And so people are throwing out these, Andrew Berry, the GM there, said, yeah, they're going to look into adding a third quarterback. Well, Rob Gronkowski, he decided to chime in. And he was on with Kay Adams on the Up and Adams show, which, they like to, smear it around a little bit and discuss some football topics and whatnot. And so Rob Gronkowski... You
want so much credit for that.
What do you mean?
You just did. I don't know why you do this.
What do you... No, I'm just saying, they're throwing it around a little bit there, and Rob Gronkowski had an idea for maybe what Mac Jones should do and how it relates to the Cleveland Browns.
If I was Mac Jones as well, okay, listen to me out. He's not respected in New England. Coach Belichick has played all these games with him. Bailey Zappi isn't even close to being on Mac Jones' level. You should never ever sit Mac Jones. You tried it once, you tried it twice. It's not working. Now he's doing it again. He won't name and start a quarterback. He's not respected there. I think Mac Jones should ultimately, even right now, should just go ask for his release. If you're talking to me about what he should do, ask for his release. And then if it's granted, he should go sign with the Cleveland Browns and start a new career right there.
So there's the potential solution for Cleveland. Now, I thought it was most noteworthy that
he's taking shots.
Belichick's getting it from every angle nowadays.
Yeah, he is.
It's odd, though. I didn't think they had a bad breakup. I remember they tried to trade him, and he said he was going to retire and all that, so it stopped it. But is that, they must not have had a good departure from one another.
That was shots. He was taking shots. So I don't, he almost sounded like he could have went as far as to say they don't have respect for each other, Belichick or Mac Jones. Right. It just seemed like I don't know. I felt like that was more a shot at Belichick more than anything else.
Well, let me just go quickly poke holes into why this would never work, okay? For starters, Mac Jones is in his third year of his rookie deal. And the Patriots, after this season, make a decision on picking up his fifth-year option, which I think we'd all agree they're not going to pick up his fifth-year option. And remember, that rule changed most recently where now, once you pick up the option, it's fully guaranteed for that year when you exercise that. It didn't used to be. It used to be for injury only, okay? So that's forced a lot of teams to change the manner in which they handle picking up the fifth-year option when you have to make that decision after a player's third year is on a first-round deal, okay? So they still have him under contract for another year. The reason why you wouldn't cut him and just outright let him go to Cleveland from New England's perspective is maybe you can trade him and get something for him. And I know people are probably going to say, well, what's the trade? It doesn't matter if it's a 6th or 7th round pick. It's better than not getting anything for him and just outright releasing him and going the rest of the year with Bailey Zappi. So there is value, no matter what anyone wants to admit and say, of still keeping him on the roster to then either trade him and let someone else make that decision on a fifth-year option or someone else who might give you something back in return for Mac Jones. So there's that. From Cleveland's perspective, you signed Deshaun Watson to a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal. What's that deal for Mac Jones even going to look like? What's the future for Mac Jones in Cleveland going to look like? There is none. At best, he would play out the rest of the season, and then Deshaun would come back next year when he's healthy. That's the quarterback they've invested in. They're not going to give Mac Jones some record-breaking deal or sign him to something that would be, enticing in any manner. It's probably one of the reasons why, even if they're looking at a veteran right now, one of the things you're probably concerned with is how much you've got spent on a quarterback position right now. And for a guy who's not playing, but he is your future. So the truth of the matter is like you're not going to invest a bunch in that position. You've already done that. So it really doesn't make any sense. And that's why I think when I hear those comments, like I think more about the breakup of Rob Gronkowski and Bill Belichick than I actually do any validity to what he's saying.
I wonder if Mac Jones is a starter in this league after this season. I wonder if he's in New England and if he's a starter in New England, or if he's somewhere else and if he's a starter somewhere else. If you were to trade him away, are you trading him away to be a starter somewhere else? Has he given us any reason to think that he would be better somewhere else?
He's had
I think the comment would be, he's had moments, but I think when you look at this year and the amount of teams that have needed a backup quarterback, I think there's going to be a premium put on that. And especially maybe for a year with a team that feels like it's a contender and a guy who is viewed as a smart player. He hasn't had a lot around him. I mean, this has been his worst year. He's still completing 65% of his passes. He's going to end up throwing for somewhere over 3,000 yards. I mean, his rookie season was probably his best when they went 10-7, and he threw for 3,800 yards. So that was probably his best year. And I know the past couple haven't been great, but he's been in an odd scenario, too. Matt Patricia was his play caller. I'm not sure how teams are going to view that decision by Belichick and what that year looked like last year. And then there's the jerking in and out of being the starter. I think they'll probably look at the situation and say, well, he doesn't have a lot of help. And on top of it, they keep pulling him in and out of games and that whole situation. So I definitely think teams will still see value in him. But to your point, as a starter, probably not. I mean, they're going to be trading for him to provide depth at the position, which you need when you look at all these starters getting hurt.
Yeah.
The Gronkowski airing out Belichick is interesting, though. Like, because I know that Belichick and the Patriot culture and all that is, tough, and you've got to kind of fall in line. It did feel like Belichick embraced Gronk, because it's not like he was just antic-free when he was in New England, and all of a sudden he cut loose when he got to Tampa. I mean, he made his name for himself as being the guy, the goofy dude. I mean, he dented the Super Bowl trophy, playing baseball at Fenway Park. Like, it's not like Belichick reprimanded him from doing all that. So to hear him now take this approach and kind of air out Belichick, telling Mac Jones
You're
basically...
disappointed in him?
No, I just wonder, like, what's that about? Like, why now is everybody deciding this is the time to go after Belichick? Like, we've got doorbell cameras coming out, and
him and Tom Brady are really close friends, and it seemed like there was like this little competitive rivalry between Tom and Bill Belichick during his time there, and then once he left, and then they went together. He pulled him into Tampa Bay, and it was like, now it's us against the world. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it was malicious. I mean, it just was a shot. You could take a shot at somebody that you like, in the media, in front of everybody, while you're losing.
Can you?
I mean, I guess.
I like the Belichick.
What, did you guys think it was malicious?
I thought there was a little bit of something to it.
There was some malice in there?
It makes you think there's a history there of, again, how things ended for Gronk. And
I would agree with that.
And I think, I guess how I look at it, and I can't recall when Gronk was kind of finishing his time there, I'm sure he would have rather sat out training camp, sat out the early part of the season and signed with the team and come in late. Like, he probably could have stayed there, would have finished his career there, maybe if Bill would have allowed him to do that. But, like, Bill's never, I can't think of a player he's allowed to do that. Whereas other teams are kind of open to that, like saying to a guy, hey, get yourself, stay healthy, we'll bring you on in the back half of the season so we can make a Super Bowl run. Like, and Ndamukong Suh is a guy who, like, is always kind of, like, looking for that opportunity, signing that one-year deal, and then making his way to the Super Bowl. Like, he did it last year with the Eagles, right?
He's a mercenary.
Yeah, but, like, he's done incredibly well, obviously performance-wise, but performance-wise in the bank account, too, and handling his business that way. And so I think there's teams that are open to that, there are teams that aren't. And there's nothing wrong with it, but I do wonder if he had hoped for something like that and maybe did. It just seems like there's more there to the story. That's all.